Okay, so that's mine.
I think it's recording here.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just getting our last minute details together before we start our topic today. Today is 9/8/2025, and it's an
9/9.
important date.
It's
Tomorrow's the
9.
9/9. Tomorrow's the 9/9.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh
today's
my
September.
gosh, you're serious? It's
Yeah,
9/8 today. What in the world?
but that's an important date too. That's an important number. But that's a whole nother topic, but we won't be discussing that. So today we're going to actually talk about the feminine and what what that means and what that doesn't mean in a sense. So it's kind of a hot topic, but I think an important one considering what's happening on the planet. And we were just talking about it before we got on. We don't want to do things the old way anymore. We're done with those scripts. And so, what is I just call it the healthy feminine archetype that needs to be birthed or is birthing through everyone, through all of us. So, Kat, you had some good insights. Did you want to start about what you have
Yeah,
studied? And
should I start off with the AI definition of what the divine feminine is?
Let's
Since
let's start out with the AI definition because this is going to be fun folding all of this together.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So the AI overview, it says that the divine feminine is a spiritual archetype representing a sacred, life-giving energy within all beings in the universe, characterized by qualities like intuition, creativity, nurturing, compassion, and wisdom. It is the conceptual counterpart to the divine masculine and is not tied to any specific gender, but is expressed through symbols, goddesses, and natural forces like the moon and oceans. Cultivating divine feminine energy fosters balance, self mastery, and harmony within oneself and the world. And we are happening to meet on Moon's Day, so that's everything is synchronizing.
hmm Yes, for sure.
Yeah, so when you both mentioned about talking about the divine feminine, the immediately, and then hopefully you can see it, the
Yeah.
star tarot card came up. And interestingly, she's number 17 in the deck. So today is, if you look at numerology 8 and 9, 17. And unfortunately, she has her little bikini on, but normally she's depicted as being nude with 1 foot in water and 1 foot on land. And she's pouring out jugs of water onto each. And oh, and there's also the Pleiades in the background.
Okay.
And for me, this was one card that had huge challenges because as I was going through my priestess studies, one of the requirements was to go through the tarot deck and meet the archetype of every single card. And the star was one of the cards that would not talk to me. And I was really confused. I'd talk to my mentor and say, or ask her, like, what's going on? This card may show up in my meditation vision, and she just looks at me and then she walks away, or she just doesn't show up. And every other card was usually fine. And what I was told was I just had to keep going back and researching what she represented. And I'm going to say that this card is she because the figure is a female. And the energy for me, definitely with this card, is more female, even though she represents a balance between masculine energies and feminine energies. And just from my perspective, it was easier to see her as a she. But what I learned from her was that I thought I was missing something in myself in the feminine way. I didn't really view it as divine feminine. Like at that at that point, the term divine feminine wasn't really a big thing, neither was sacred masculine, but I felt like I was missing something in the feminine department, despite being a mother and, like in the girly things. And what she was telling me was about the balance that was always there within me. It was just I had become more polarized on one side, and I needed to find that happy medium in accepting all of myself. And then once I started to recognize that I hadn't lost anything, um, she started to speak to me. And then I was able to at least get through this card and figure out what the symbols she represented actually meant for me, meant in the tarot, and progress from there. But she definitely stumped me for quite some time. But as I said, it was rediscovering something that I thought I missed out on or had forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh,
No, go
while
ahead,
you're
Jesse.
talking, thank you. While you're talking, this is the first time ever I've seen all of the goddesses line up in a way that is inviting the idea that they each come with a specific wisdom. And so it's not this goddess or that goddess. It is these energies that weave into the Sophianic impulse, the actual wisdom of the divine truth. And I see Sophia as the feminine essence that weaves cosmic truth into human souls. And it's also really fascinating to listen to you and to bring this star card in. And I always see, and I think we each do here, the inside each of us is masculine and feminine forces.
Mm-hmm.
And Rudolf Steiner teaches that the feminine side of the soul is about imagination, devotion, this intuition that develops, and the masculine is about clarity, structuring, and action, active will. And, you know, when we're stuck in or polarized, as the star represented to you, when we're leaning more towards one side or the other, we are fit then for the other side to harden. And then as it hardens, we become further and further away from the divine presence, and then we get into this phrenic state, which is something that I've seen. I'm going to do air quotes, quote unquote,
Yeah.
divine feminine stuck in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a hard time with that word divine feminine for a long time, and even now, we were just talking before we got on that it is kind of it does feel like it's usurped, it's hijacked. There's an image of what a divine feminine means. Um, Especially over the last 10 years, at least from what I've seen, she's still this beautiful goddess looking. She's a perfect figure, the clear young skin, and her breasts are supple, um, and yet she can be like a badass too, like we have to exert ourselves out in the world as this feminine um, model. But really, what we're talking about is the polarity that we've been in and the patriarchy uh, that we've lived within um, for hundreds and probably thousands of years, so far. And so, what it feels like that a lot of them are expressing is really still a masculine perspective, quote, masculine perspective of what a goddess should look like, or what a woman should look like. The youth is emphasized more than the wisdom of, let's say, an older woman, in a later season, like myself. Uh, we have grown, and all of us, we have grown children, we have sons, we have daughters, and yeah, we're not here to talk about bashing one or the other and saying this one is, they did this to me, so therefore, I have the right to um, exert myself in the world, and equally from that kind of distorted masculine perspective, let's say that the female has been the one to entice the male, use their sexuality for power, all those things that are like laced in the subconscious, that it feels like we need to talk about, we need to bring forward. We're getting down to the root of these things, uh, and literally what's been in our root, the root of humanity, the root of all of us. I mean, last week or so, when Sedna, this dwarf planet that's way out beyond Pluto, I didn't even know, that has a 12,000-year orbit. Um, uh, she was bringing up all kinds of things in my own body, like as far as ancestral lineage, Um, and like a lot of you, you've probably done ancestral lineage clearing and things like that. But now we're really getting into, again, the root of what humanity has been running on as well. So what I was feeling from my Asian lineage is a lot of repression, you know, repressed. This is what a mother does. This is what what a woman does, and it's a much more of a motherly figure in the Asian culture. It's not as much of this voluptuous woman, but it's very mothery and nurturing, and then you have to give everything in order for your children, your family, and take care of basically everything. And what I felt was just this repression, for generations. And you both know, and some of you listening know, that I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2008. Um, and I had it on both sides, which is unusual. And usually women have it on one side, but I was like, well, we took care of that both. You don't have to worry about the other side. Um, but what I felt like was it was a manifestation of the repression, feeling repressed uh, for generations of holding on to this, right? Because the breasts represent like the nurturing and giving, but it's also sexual and sensual, and it has such a mixed meaning there. It could be nurturing, but then on the other hand, they want you, as far as the patriarchy, they want you to be young and your breasts have to be full and supple. And once they start sagging, you're not as quote valuable uh, to a man for other needs, let's just say. So um, all those kinds of feelings were coming up in me, that it's the repression, the resentment in a way, of that feminine, of that female lineage in the culture that then I had manifested as breast cancer, you know, because when it's not moving, when that energy continues to be repressed, it's not addressed, then we create these diseases in our body. So anyway, I just thought I would share that kind of personal perspective, because what we're talking about is repressed life force energy, that is primordial. So
It's really fascinating. My grandmother, paternal grandmother, uh, is that paternal father, right? That's
yes,
father.
Yeah.
Okay. She had a double mastectomy, and my Oma on my maternal side had one side, and it was her right side. And so it's really interesting. when we look at this connected to motherhood, because this is very much your relation to mother in general, the chest, the breast, nurturing, and it manifests as generational grief, generational repression. It manifests into, it's almost like it was a divine plan, if you will, to have that false feminine rise. So we're stuck in sentimental indulgences. So we don't really know what love is even. We're hardening ourselves as victims. And we just keep creating these ideologies that just rip us away from not only biology, but from the cosmic truth.
Yeah.
It's, everybody said, well, you've got breast cancer on both sides of your family, you're going to get breast cancer. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Why would I choose that for myself?
Yeah.
And we keep claiming people this way. And this is how this false feminine keeps manifesting. This is how it stays alive. And we dance and rejoice in it.
Mm-hmm.
We dance and rejoice in it. And I'm like, enough of the dancing around the bonfire in your victimhood. We're never going to get out of it. We're going to continue to anchor that in. And then that also squashes men. You mentioned this patriarchal, I look at it as women emasculating men. I look at it as, if Mother Earth is feminine in her presence, then it must be her, to some extent, that has taken away the opportunity for men to be men. How as women, I don't know about you guys, but I grew up hearing men are terrible, they're stupid, they're they work and don't pay attention, they don't know how to read the energies of a woman, they can't please her, they can't this, they can't that. What can they do? For crying out loud, you're not giving them a chance out the gate,
Yeah.
And a woman is in direct physical harm, the first person that usually comes to her aid in most cases is a male police officer. And without that police officer, that's one of the first lines of defense. But I don't know if it's like this where you are, but usually late spring and into summer and then going into mid-autumn is retreat season here. And I see all these ads for women's retreats, which, a number of years ago, that really wasn't a thing. But now it's like everybody seems to be having a goal of having to develop or run a retreat, which, for some, definitely it's a very great healing source, because therapy is expensive and not everybody wants to do the pills and the like. But I know I've been to a few just very benign, like drumming circles or astrology workshops. And every time there's an element of trauma dumping where the ladies are asked, well, please introduce yourself with your name. And they go into this huge trauma thing, and it has no relation to the topic being studied. And the facilitator will either encourage it, or it doesn't, that person doesn't usually stop it. And you kind of are in a circle now, and it's majority women. And you have this density hanging over because now this person has dumped all this stuff into the center of the circle. And most people don't know how to transmute it. So it just kind of is there for the whole thing. A friend of mine is a First Nations shaman, and he has been asked to open circles for some of these, and his circles are about the only ones where that doesn't happen. He has some ability, at least, I guess, where he is able to contain the space, or maybe it's because the women participating feel that because there's a male present, they can't be as open. But
Oh,
I feel much more relief going to a workshop or something where I know he's opening and closing the circle, which is
mm,
it's very different. And he wasn't really conscious of that part of it until I told him about it. He's just there protecting, making sure that there's no other influences.
no, that's
But
cool.
as Chastity said, that there is definitely like a celebration, I guess, of this victimhood. And we all don't have a friend or someone we can necessarily express that we're having a really shitty time. But at the same time, there's also no education about the other people, the boundaries of other people, and how to balance oneself when going into a public type of workshop so that you're not splatting everybody with
Hmm.
all of your wounds, and they're even leaving basically with things unhealed too.
Hmm.
And like you said, when the facilitator cannot transmute the container, if they cannot transmute that, and other, which means if you likely, or the attendees likely also don't know how to transmute their own energies. And so you're sitting, this is why I don't like to go to like singing bowl circles,
Mm-hmm.
because singing bowls, it pulls things out, right? But then it starts to harmonize the shit field. Pardon my,
Oh.
but it's like I feel like I'm sitting in a dirty bathtub with a bunch of people, and so I can't go. I've never met
Interesting.
one singing bowl player that has successfully transmuted anything. So I won't sit in. Same with yoga. I can't go to a yoga class because when you have specific poses, certain things open up and
Oh,
comes out, and they don't transmute it. And then you've got these pardon me, demons hopping from body to body,
oh,
feeding off of them. And I'm like, ew, no, thank you.
I've never been to a yoga class, seriously.
Oh,
Now
try it out.
I
Try it
have to
out.
think
Tell me what
twice.
you see.
Yeah.
Well, I think you might be more sensitive in other ways than I am, so maybe, you pick up on that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've always avoided being with groups of women. Although I am going to go to my first women's retreat in December because I feel like I have deep emotions and things that I need to release, and I can't do that at home with my kids and my caretaking responsibility. So I'm like, I know, but I can
Well,
understand what you're saying, Kat, because so I'm crossing my fingers. I've arranged it so that
Drumming is phenomenal. It connects you to the heartbeat, and it actually can pull it can pull and transmute. So if you
mm,
can allow yourself to be carried with that beat, there's something really beautiful there. And if we can look at like how do we heal this, right? We want to talk about healing these kinds of energies too, right? So
yeah,
if um, we don't want to reject feminine, uh, we want to take um, divine feminine or feminine as just like this random concept, and actually look at it as an archetype, and allow
yeah,
the within that archetype know that there's uh, a warmth, a warming, this living, it's alive, this wisdom that comes up out of the darkness, right?
yeah.
It lifts. There's something about how it lifts. I mean, obviously, we braid darkness with light in order to balance it. But there's something about how the wisdom needs to rise up out of it as the archetype would
Hmm.
rise within you.
Hmm.
and just
Well, go ahead. No, go ahead. My thought wasn't complete, so go ahead.
I just wanted to express too about remembering or acknowledging that it's not an external force that we have to try to achieve. It's already there. The both
Yes.
archetypes of the sacred masculine and divine feminine are there. It's sometimes just a little hidden.
Hmm.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it's not something you
And the
can
root.
paying somebody, extraordinary amounts of money to find. It's there.
Hmm. It's in the root. I mean, and I think that's part of what's happening right now on the planet is we're getting down to the root of things, you know, the root causes, if we want to be linear, of how this is played out. And I feel like, it's genetic, right? Because all that, those emotions and whatever else that hasn't been addressed within humanity, the subconscious and the unconscious. They talk about epigenetics, right? That surrounds the DNA and it has an influence then from environment, how it's going to manifest in our body. So uh, I feel like that's a big part of what we're doing. And I came across this sidereal astrologer that I follow. She posted on Facebook, Dr. Danny. She's called. She said Jupiter, Lilith, and this is like in this time period that we're in right now with this eclipse energy, the lunar eclipse energy. So she says a grand trine links Jupiter in Gemini. Now this is sidereal, so it's like a different than it's 13 sign. The North Node in Aquarius and Black Moon Lilith in Libra. So this is a theme that's going on, and let me just read what I found in from uh, a search, and it's an AI assisted. But Lilith being, kind of think of it as like the dark feminine aspect, a shadow. But it says Lilith in astrology refers to a point in the natal chart that symbolizes the darker, more primal aspects of the psyche, often associated with themes of rebellion, empowerment, and the unconscious. It highlights areas where individuals may feel suppressed or repressed, encouraging self-awareness and acceptance of these hidden traits. And what I appreciated about that description is that there's no like gender in it. It's not about a man or a male or female. It's just something that's repressed, Um, and what's been repressed and suppressed is going to come out in certain ways. It could come out as aggression, which we see females now expressing. They want to be the badass female, and so I can punch a man just like, and take him down with as much force as a man could. I mean, it's that kind of, yeah, and that's really just continued fallen masculine. What this feminine now that we're, in some ways even teaching young girls, teens. It's so confusing, I think, for both our boys and our girls, what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, because we've got all these screwed up archetypes and values. And then the feminine could be, you know, there's a resentment from the males, I think, suppressed resentment for females who have this feminine power to lure them and control them with sex, you know. Um, I'm going to bring this up because it's been coming up in my mind as we've been talking. I don't know if you guys if any of you watched the Super Bowl halftime party. I think it was maybe in 2021. And J Lo got up there. I mean, it was if you haven't seen it, you have to look that one up. Where J Lo was the featured act for the halftime ball, and I mean, it was so satanic. It was like watching a satanic ritual, seriously, They had dancers like dressed in red and she's dressed in white. And then by the end, like she is being lifted up, like has this cross kind of figure. And then there's all these men, like all these muscular men and everything who are falling down at her knees. I mean, I was like, this is not what we want our young girls to be, and teenagers to be aspiring to that. This is not the epitome and representation of a divine feminine or a strong feminine figure. I was I was totally appalled. Like people are like, "Oh my gosh, did you see that show? It was wonderful." And there was thank goodness it was one of my other friends who was like, "Yeah, that was." Is anybody nobody else? She's like, nobody else is seeing this around me. Like, don't you think there's something wrong with this?
Mhm.
But went over a lot of people's heads. Like they were just celebrating it. So anyway,
It's twisted and contorted. It's like the lost mysteries of Isis, right? And so because we don't know the archetype, because we're not taught it, and we're not reminded of how to activate that within us, we have these beings that take our divine essence, our divine beings, and replicate them. That's what all this false light is.
yeah,
You've got false Isises running around, false Jesuses, false Michaels,
false
false
Marys.
Marys, and they just suck the life right out of you. And what they do is they twist up the when I see people, I'm like, oh, your math is off. I say that all the time. Your math is off. You're not spinning correctly, right? The masculine and feminine energies aren't moving like they're supposed to be, which means you get polarized and
Yeah,
something stops moving. And then these beings can come right in, and they come right in through your soul's essence, and they start talking to you like they're these like beautiful Isis, comes in and starts talking, and it's like, that's not Isis. You know who Isis is? And that's certainly not Mary. I've seen a few of those running around, but then they create these complete overlays over stories and histories, and they're mocking. They just continue mocking what the feminine is, and that
yeah,
satanic ritual is a beautiful, um, ugly slash beautiful example of that. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
um, uh,
And I couldn't watch it till the end, but I hear that at the end they literally have like these children in cages.
mm,
I know I couldn't watch it anymore. I was like, I can't watch this. This is like, this is a satanic ritual um, in front of
And
millions of people.
there's beautiful rituals out there to celebrate uh, young people going into puberty, whether they're a female or male. When my daughter entered puberty, a group of women and I, we did this beautiful ritual to um, acknowledge her femininity, um, celebrate her her female body, help her to recognize the value in being feminine, but also help her to acknowledge the balance that she also embodies. And it was just beautiful. Like there wasn't anything that involved any form of harm or anything. It was more of a celebration, and she was celebrating or celebrated by women of all different ages. Some had been mothers, some had not been, but it was, to me, it was like, this is how a community of women is supposed to function. I remember even learning about the red tents, which was something attributed to the biblical figure Esther, where in the Judaic system, women were segregated by the community when it was their time of their menses, and they would live in this separate tent
Hmm.
and just menstruate, and they were, alleviated of wifely duties
Mm.
for their time. But there was a movement in the early 2000s to sort of bring back this red, they called it red tent, without the
Mm.
menstruation part, but just gathering women and just to celebrate being women. But it did sort of become like a trauma circle at times.
No.
But in some ways, though, it was this great community building project where women would get together of all walks of life, all ethnicities, and just be celebrating. There was without the pressure of having to take care of children or work, or it was just a day to be, but not be in trauma, but just to celebrate being female.
Yeah,
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 very, very nice. Very,
yeah,
very
yeah.
healing.
Well, I can understand that. So I'm thinking I should probably bring some sage when I go to, and then it's only 2 days. So like one day is like, okay, you can cry and rage and get it out. And then the next day, we're gonna celebrate, I don't know. But yeah, I've never been to a women's retreat. I'm like, so I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a try. I feel like it's something that I need to do at this point, and do just a good cleansing. I'll bring some sage and sage myself.
Bring
Maybe I
some
can do.
rose water too if you're going to bring sage, because sage is it's pretty heavy.
Mm.
Um, it's
Rose
as
water. I'm allergic to the roses though. So
oh
Or
yeah.
God, maybe
lavender water if you can, if you can handle
What kind of
lavender.
water?
you.
Lavender. I can handle some. It depends on the quality. Um,
Yeah.
and I have a
Frankincense.
yeah, and I have a little what are they called? Salt candle. The Himalayan salt candle. Would that help? I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Just
Anything to help you transmute,
yeah.
and hopefully the facilitator there will help, will release anything that is brought into the workshops or the circles, so that being empathic, that you're not bringing other people's stuff home.
yeah, yeah.
I put
But
little uh I don't know, like transmutation vortexes like in my space,
hmm
Mhm.
so if something comes in or is leaving me, that it's not harmful,
yeah,
that
yeah.
it gets transmuted, and I kind of code it or train it to say, okay, here's what, like a little vortex, a pet.
hmm
little vortex pet. So,
Yeah,
it coming and going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
yeah.
just put a tiger
It,
balm on
it,
the bottom of my feet now.
oh,
Yes, you
that's right.
mentioned that. I need
That's
to
right.
do that.
I
Yeah.
know. I need to get to, and they're pretty easy to get. I'm sure I can get it from
Yeah.
Amazon, shipped by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. Tiger Balm. I know. I forgot that.
I have
So
to
I have to.
remember that one too. I should have
Yeah.
got that for traveling. Um, I should have got that for traveling, but I can probably pick some
It's
up. But
stinky.
Yeah.
Or
I could probably.
you have like Vicks Vapor Rub. That's
Oh, okay.
because
Yeah,
it's
that's easy to
in
get.
it.
You could
yeah,
probably get it at the airport, although it'll cost you an
Yeah.
arm and a leg.
I have a tiger balm here somewhere. I just have to
Yeah.
I have to locate which cabinet it's in. So
Mm.
It's
Oh,
a
I do have
handy
this.
made
I do.
ointment, so, and
yeah.
it's accessible.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
do have something else. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
oh, sorry. No.
No, no, no. I was just thinking, and then I was like, okay, I don't have to say that. Yeah, don't you don't. That's not something you have to say. Okay, so where else should we go? Yeah, what? I mean, this is a big transition that we're in. The old world cannot function the same way, um, and and tell me what you think of this, because for the last few days, and I know it's from Sammy, there's been this kind of these sometimes these awarenesses come like, why am I thinking about this? A lot of times it has to do with Sammy, but what I've been feeling is that obviously a lot of this is really not part of the true human design, you know. Um, and so even thought forms, thought patterns of aggressive masculine and fallen feminine, there's all these thought forms that have been created, um, and there's actually a like what feels like it's like rubbing, you know, rubbing against each other, like, because this true uh, human archetype is coming in. We're all have a piece in embodying what that means and how we're going to express that, Um, But then as that is coming in, it's bringing up these, because it has to be genetic as well when we're talking about true human design. Um, Getting down into the root, and like there's so because of feelings like jealousy and competition, that we've kind of expressed in the world, they're not part of the true human design. And so anything along those lines that have carry those threads, it's like causing a friction, um, and to the point where the friction, that kind of friction, that getting down to the bones and the fascia, where it's causing like inflammation in the body. Not all of it, but contributing to inflammation, contributing to disease, and contributing to our joints wearing down for arthritis. Um, so I think that's part of why this is coming. This is coming up in this phase that we're in, and also like that friction. It kind of gives you discernment. You know, it helps you to discern. Okay, what's going on here? What am I looking at? So anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, even if you look at history, and this just goes back to the aging process, but you have the Old Testament talking about how some of the biblical figures lived for hundreds of years. You have the stele, I think the Babylon stele, or is it Sumerian, where it's a list of kings, and in between each king, there's almost thousands of years. There's reports of some of the Chinese emperors that lived for a few hundred years. So it does seem that the human genome, or the human form, has the capacity to live extended periods of time healthily with your full faculties.
Yeah.
And we aren't necessarily meant to expire at after 75, 80 years.
Hmm.
And I've heard that either this is a program that's been inserted into us, or this could be one of those thoughts that we've manifested into ourselves, that we believe that, oh, when we reach 75 or 80, this is, oh, time's up, we gotta go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if this has anything to do with, while you were talking, Susan, I was seeing money, and money as in exchange for things. And that created, it looks to me like it was creating for instance, the issue of jealousy. So when you start getting things, then it started doing something to humanity, and then extending out into this concept of living on. Uh, Again, I see mathematical incongruent movement or no movement in the etheric field. So it's like polarity, like the polarity we're talking about. Uh, and then I see ads in modern time. You only have, if your parent is, 55, then you only have X amount of Christmases left with them. And it's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And
I know.
it's just, it automatically puts you in the mindset. I don't know how all of these pieces are coming together, but there's like this weaving of what it is we've done to ourselves. The thing is that nobody did it to us.
Yeah.
We accepted it,
Hmm.
and took it on, uh, and then we continue to live in ignorance, so to speak. It's like, is it genetic manipulation? Is it programs and genetic manipulation, and then, or is it all an illusion?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if this is an illusion, then it seems as though it should be so simple to just wake up. I remember I've been hearing for, I think it was during lockdown times, wake up, wake up, wake up, and we hear about, people teaching how to wake up in the dream,
Mm,
and, being able to walk in your dreams, being dream walkers. We need to
mhm,
know when we're dreaming.
mm,
We need to know what dreams are. And we need to know that this is a dream in the
mhm,
dream in the
mhm.
and how do we access different pockets of information, different how do we unlock these how do we unlock this? It's like Kat, I've seen you so many times crossing the cosmos with keys, right? And I feel like I'm following you with maps, right? Like, hold on, here I go, hold on, right? And so it's like, you know,
Interesting. I have a key right in front of me.
so it's like um remembering the forgotten ways, bringing this online. Are we actually mapping and accepting something new, or is something ancient actually rising? I see new gates. People say, well, I see these new gates opening, and I call them ancient gates. It's like
Mm,
they're forgotten, and
mhm.
we're coming back into alignment. Um, and this may have something to do with how consciousness falls, and then how we come into an awareness and it rises back up. Uh, it could be, the evolution of the cosmos, the evolution of the planets.
Yeah,
Um,
I see
yeah.
it as an evolutionary process, and that the children, the new children, as they're coming through, they're opening the gates because they're coming through those gates.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it. Um, and then they're coming through gates that were never there, like these galaxies that they were never open to us before, so to speak. So there's a kind of a combination of things, I guess, that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, is it new? It's, I mean, there's so many, we can go through, there's so many layers in there as usual that we could, talk for another hour. Um, but yeah, is it new? It's Sammy saying it is old from a certain perspective, and it's new to us though. Um, you know, uh, but once we remember, I know you don't like the word remember, because we don't want to remember the same, but it's just all simultaneously happening at the same time, and it just depends on your perspective in a certain moment. Um, did we create it? I feel like maybe there's shadow aspects, let's say, of a bigger being, of myself, and I'm saying so that I speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but that those are shadow aspects of what as well, in a sense, and that shadow aspect perhaps facilitated creating this. And then there's the whole dream walker aspect of it. Um, and I was thinking about this the other day for some reason. The theta wave, the theta brain wave that we say, that they say we get into when we're sleeping, right? Um, and that it generates a sense of peace and tranquility, and that is the actual baseline brainwave that we should be operating on in the quote waking state. Um, and that's that's what is rising to me. So kind of have more of this awareness that we're in a dream but awake, and the dream is an experience. Um, and then with all this quantum stuff opening up, and sound, then you start to really feel like you're just pixelated at times. And this is just a light manifestation, but really, you know, I'm pixelated all the time, really. I don't know.
I wanted to mention, thank you, Susan. The when we go back into like jealousy or this separation or these polarities, it's like men and women are competing against each other, which is causing that in itself can cause the inversion. You know, going into the new age feminism, can I call it that?
Yeah.
um, I can do it just as good as he can. Well,
Yeah.
you're made a little bit different, and you're made a little bit different for a reason. It's not a competition. It's a competition, and this is what's, I think, causing a lot of the gender confusion. You know, I think this is part of what causes that. You know, and some parents can accidentally say something even like, I really wanted a little girl, but I got a boy, right? And that starts to set a seed at such delicate ages that can create an inversion without even knowing you're creating an inversion, and opening up doors for these hardened concepts to come in, and then even shut down the embodiment of the soul in a small child.
One of my mother's favorite expressions to me was, "If life was fair, you would have been born a boy." And she said that to me. And it definitely left me with a feeling of being not enough, not worthy. I was the firstborn daughter of the firstborn son, so there's already the disappointment there that I wasn't male to carry on the family line. And the worst off was I was born on my grandparents' anniversary, so it was just like this triple whammy where I just grew up being told I was less, you know, because I was female. And yeah, I definitely agree that that stays in your consciousness or stays in your body even as you grow up, and you wonder like, why was I not enough? And it's interesting, we talking about the feminine. I had a rabbit just run by my window, so
oh, wonderful.
we have the universal energies that are definitely listening and participating and affirming and confirming that we're in a really good direction here. But I did want to touch on something that Susan was talking about with the remembering of the old ways, because as we head into Halloween, or Samhain is what I refer to it, where we are working more with ancestral energies. I've always heard, oh, the veil is thinning. The veil is thinning at this time. But the veil really does not exist.
Yeah.
The ancestral realms or the other worlds and us. It's, I guess maybe the veil would be whatever's over our eyes that we can't see, but there's really no curtain or anything there. And I have noticed that in the world I live in, where with paganism and Wicca and witchcraft and shamanism stuff, that there are more people turning to it because of the dissatisfaction with Abrahamic religions and not having the answers. And it is like a rediscovering of the information that's always been available to us, and accessing it once again. And then, as Susan said, an evolution. So we're adding to it because we may have been reaching a stage in this present incarnation or earth walk that our ancestors never got to. So now we are adding to that magical book or those magical codes now. So we are finding out what has been occulted from us, but now we're also building on it. And unfortunately, we're also having to work through all of the corruption and the influences that have been put into it that are meant to keep it occulted and corrupted from us.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a very, very mystical time, I view it. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I find it's no coincidence that we have Lilith now that's interacting so much with humanity at this point. I see her mentioned quite often.
Yeah, I
People
know.
don't fully understand who she is. They hear the name Lilith and they're like, oh my God, you know, like she's a
Yeah.
demon and all that. And she
Mm-hmm.
represents so much more than how she's been pictured.
I used to have her, I used to call her in for my children. And then I had found this thing that said, you know, she steals children and she eats them. And I was like, what? I'm like, that's not the Lilith I know. That's
Yeah.
not the one I know. But I was like, um, I hope I didn't. Anyway, it's so there's so much to unwind, I guess, is my point. Thank you. That was so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a straight line, and then it's not a it's a woven crooked line besides things. Yeah, it's just with so many different influences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the confusing thing, right? About even with the gender confusion, because I feel like part of the energy of gender confusion has to do with we're unraveling these strict male, female roles, archetypes, and what it means. And so then when that's being unraveled, so that we can kind of let go of more of those rigid rules, because when I was growing up, I mean, boys did not wear pink. No way was a boy to ever wear pink, or even carry pink. And it was much more rigidly, like even enforced. You don't even realize it's being enforced. In the TV, you watch the commercials. Um, but while that is unraveling, then there's this kind of fluidity that then other forces can kind of go, okay, well, we'll just kind of groom it this way, and now let's send out mixed messages, about what that means. Oh, do you know that we're developing a womb on the outside so you don't have to have that kind of pain, and the technology, like I can't even imagine growing a baby in an incubator, like it's like, now what? There's no spirit there, you know? Um, but so there's that part, and then this divine feminine, and then young girls or women, or I don't know, women of any age who are just waking up to this, and they're going to claim their divine feminine. So then they go to this retreat, or something, and it's completely kind of just gradually and quite in a sneaky way manipulating the direction of what that facilitator meets that facilitator. Um, so very confusing phase.
Speaking, yeah, speaking of sneaky ways, my dad used to always wear pink Converse, and he said real men wear pink. And
I love
what
that.
I find interesting about this is the original colors where little boys wore pink and little girls wore blue. And in the distortion, and that's true in the etheric realm, father is represented as magenta or pink, and mother is represented as blues. And so that inversion alone, you want to talk about like sneaky scams here, right?
Oh,
And it's pressed in us. You don't put, like you learned, you don't put a little boy in pink to save your life. Don't
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
He would be engulfed in masculine fatherly energies if he were to wear pink.
Wow,
And
wow.
we don't have that privilege of knowledge. You have to actually really search for that. And of course, be able to use your inner vision to see the expression of mother and father, or masculine and feminine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much longer
I
you
think
have.
we could continue to go on.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I know.
I invite questions, putting questions below in the comment box about the topic that we're sharing today, from our own personal experiences and opinions, and like
Mm-hmm.
put questions in, and also in anything else that you guys might like us to discuss. We get private messages sometimes, and sometimes public messages about, hey, could you talk about this? So I had a really great time. I was going to ask you before we go, Kat, would burning, I was looking at it because I have a little mugwort stick. Would that be good for her to bring?
Oh,
Would mugwort be more gentle on Susan's body, do you think, in her retreat?
Definitely mugwort. Well, see, mugwort maybe better to put in your luggage to make sure that your luggage doesn't get mixed up with anybody else's.
oh.
I guess I'll pop it in mine.
Yeah, yes. I usually put a little bit of mugwort in my luggage whenever I travel. Mugwort, I would say you're better off to, if you can handle sage, bring that. But if the floral waters are more resonant with you and easier on your system, they would be just as good. Mugwort can be a little tough. And you definitely don't want to be drinking any mugwort tea, or you will have some fantastic experiences on looking at other realms. But yeah, it wouldn't be the first one that I would reach for. Bay leaves, even, so that you maybe burn one or two when you go back to your room, just to clear the space, clear you, and they don't have an atrocious smell, and you can get them from your grocery store.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so basil.
A
Yeah,
bay
that's
Bay leaf.
leaf.
oh, bay leaf. Okay, bay leaf. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds easy and doable. I
space
don't
really.
think they'll take it out of my luggage.
No,
Um,
no, probably not bay leaves. No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That looks pretty innocent. Yeah, I know. I was like, do I want to go? Like, I don't know. I don't like to be around a bunch of women. Except for you ladies, but I've always had issues like, you know, dating back to in our childhood, you know how they can be. Um, but you know what?
It
It's
can
an
be
opportunity
tough,
to get
but
away.
in the right environment with the right facilitator also can be really, really supportive too.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say until you get there, but usually I end up armoring up, because if I don't know who the facilitator is, and
Yeah.
because I'm very empathic too, and I
Hmm.
don't want to take things home, and now normally I just will avoid certain groups unless I know who's facilitating. But yeah, it's
Hmm.
just a matter of your own spiritual hygiene, and I think it would be a good experience for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Um, yeah, and my friend is going as well, so we could maybe support each other if there's any other mucky muck that needs to be cleared out. But I already just talking about it, I could feel this vortex going around me. It's like, oh, you can clear it. Don't worry about it, you know. So
Yeah, that would be good.
yeah, I know, but it's good, you know. Okay, any other last minute things that we want to do to close, or I think we got some good suggestions, or just take some deep breaths and
Yeah, I feel like a deep breath. I took a deep breath just now, and that felt really good.
hmm,
Yeah.
or clear our energy field. I felt my root most of the time that we were talking, like the tailbone. I was like, wow, we are really getting to the root causes of things.
The seeds. Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Susan, actually, I wanted to ask before we left, did you wear purple because of the illustration you did a few days ago with the
Yes.
family
Yes.
in the purple?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that woman. Yeah, I know that woman. I am going to share it at some point. I'm not sure exactly when, but yeah, I did this drawing like last week or so, and she was all about the female archetype. There's this energetically, and it's a lot in there. So I ordered just a dress from Amazon. You know, it's like $30 or whatever. I was like, hey, it's kind of cute.
It's a great color for you as well.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah, so I thought, well, if we can talk about this today, let's. I'm gonna wear that. But yeah, deep breaths, and if others of you out there are feeling all this stuff coming up, and you're like going, I thought I cleared this, I thought I healed it. You know, why is it coming up? Why do I want to cry? Why do I feel angry? Why, uh, this could be partly why. And you're not alone. This is something planetary as well. And for the males too, clearing out their, healing that aggressive masculine. And we see other facilitators, men who are trying to mentor growing boys and, things like that for a healthier masculine representative as well. So, um, we're not here to split. Like we said in the beginning, we're also mothers of adult young men, and you know, we don't want them living the same way that we grew up in. So with that, yeah,
Thank you, ladies.
thank
It was
you.
wonderful to share space with you each.
Safe travels, Jess.
Okay, safe travels.